Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce and exit a marriage the way you entered it, with mindfulness, love, and respect. SOLACE Divorce Mediation is a full-service law practice helping couples focus on the health and well-being of children and their forever co-parenting family. Our streamlined divorce journey offers flat fees with an estimated completion time frame of 2 to 4 months. If you or a friend need us, visit solacedivorce.com.
Oh my, I feel like I'm on a movie of the week with that. Thank you, E360 TV, and welcome. I'm Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris. I'm an executive producer with the E360 Television Network and also the network president for Trajectory TV. And today we are so excited to share with you a topic, a conversation, a new way of thinking, if you will, on a subject that should, in most cases, be up there as far as dinner table talk, right alongside religion and politics. And I'm talking about that nasty little word, or is it the word that has a lot of stigma and a lot of other things connected to it, not often considered positive, and that word is divorce. But today we hope to change that narrative. So we have with us today Jen Mitchell. She's the founder of SOLACE Mediation, divorce mediation. And it's not just what you think. None of those words will mean the same to you ever again after today's 90-minute special. We encourage you to stay in along the entire path for this journey for the next 90 minutes. And also be interactive. Leave your comments, ask your questions, take notes, and share out the broadcast. This is a sacred space, and it wouldn't be the same without you. So I'm going to bring in Jen Mitchell. She is the founder of SOLACE Divorce Mediation and the brainchild of today's special. Jen, welcome. It's all yours. I'm going to leave you be. Have a great show. We're so excited you're here.
Lauren, thank you so much. I love you so much. It's great to be here.
See you soon.
So welcome everyone to Love Through Divorce. And what perfect timing. It's almost Valentine's Day. So we're getting the energies of that day of love. And the intention of this show is really to help you change the way you're looking at divorce, for not just the people going through divorce or thinking about going through divorce, just the whole human consciousness, because we're all together in this, and shift the energies that are connected to divorce. Like Lauren just said, they're very heavy. They're usually destructive and very low vibrational, lots of anger, frustration, disappointment. And let's shift it to a higher vibrational space of love. There is a way that we can connect the word love with divorce. And so that is this show. We have some amazing, amazing people here that are just such loving souls and bright, shiny stars. And I cannot wait. I am so excited. And I am the moderator today. My name is Jen Mitchell. And a little bit about myself. I have been a family law attorney in the state of Illinois for the last 17 years. And the first 9 years of my career, I was in that family law court system. So I served as the zealous advocate for my client as a litigation attorney, representing his or her best interest as if he or she was an island of one all by him or herself in this world. When oftentimes, as we all know, people going through divorce are not islands of one. They're actually part of a family. And so I didn't realize what impact I was making on this world until I had my own children. So I had 3 children, bam, 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 in 39 months. And when the third one came, he helped me have this awakening, which back then I didn't understand energy. Now I understand it a lot more. We're going to be talking a lot about that on this show today. But I did have an overall kind of epiphany in my mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodily selves that were telling me, this is not your path. This is not your way. This is not the contribution you want to make in this world. This isn't what you want to show your children you do, because of all the destruction that is caused in that environment to children, to people, to families. And we all know someone who's gone through divorce, the ripple effect to the extended families, to the circle of friends, to their workplace. It's really destructive on everyone. And so everything that we are talking about today, from my perspective, stems from 8.5 years ago when I had this epiphany in my dining room. And I told myself, there has to be a better way. There just has to be a better way for people to go through this divorce journey. And that is what we're talking about, is transmuting those low vibrational energies to high. And how can we do that? What are some resources that we can tune into? What are some tips that we can use? What are some tools that you can use in your life to help you get to that high vibrational space? And so before I continue going on, there is some housekeeping that we have to just go over quickly. So the first thing, this show is going to end in 90 minutes. As Lauren shared, it's a 90-minute show. After that, we're going to have question and answer for half an hour. And if you are here for that question and answer, you will be part of a giveaway where we're going to give away a summit surprise, which is a bunch of SOLACE goodies. So SOLACE Divorce Mediation has some wonderful gifts that we would like to share for you. And this will be recorded. So anyone who cannot be here for the full time or attend, it will be something that you can have access to. So moving on, I have all the housekeeping done. Some philosophies that we're going to be exploring during this time together that I want to share with you now so you can start feeling them and thinking about them is, when divorce is happening in our life, we are all on our own journey of self. And so there's a reason that you were called to be here today, to connect with me and with these fabulous people who are on this show as well. And the reason for that is you are on your own journey. We're all on our own journey of self and our inner guidance and truth. And I touch my throat because that's our throat chakra that's telling us our truth. Our inner guidance and truth is always leading us on our way. And everyone that is coming into our life is here for a reason. And this is inclusive, of course, of the people that we marry. They're here for a reason. They're here for us to learn from and to heal from and to grow from. And they were the exact people that need to be in your life when they came into your life, for all of the reasons that they were there, for you learning about yourself, for you learning about the world, for the two of you having the children that you had that required you to be together at that exact millisecond in time. They are the perfect people. Another focus of this show is children. And that's the heart of SOLACE Divorce Mediation. The heart is children. We want children to be empowered from divorce and to feel the love from their parents and recognize that relationships takes all different forms. And there are so many different kinds of love. And to be authentic with our children and to be vulnerable with our children and to help them understand that they're on their own journey of self. And the parents, yes, you're their parents, but you're also people. And you are following your inner guidance and truth and being authentic in your path as well. And so we're going to talk about how we can empower children through divorce, which is a complete shift and shattering of another belief system. We're going to talk about shattering the belief system of divorce and transmuting that energy. Well, this is another thing we're going to shatter. We're going to shatter that whole narrative that divorce is destructive for children, because it doesn't have to be. That's a choice that's made from each parent individually and together. We're also going to talk today about the foundation of SOLACE, which is self-care and self-love. So I hope all of you are filling your buckets every day, that you are giving yourself what you need in the form of care and love. But when we're going through divorce, it is imperative to amp that up. You need to take really good care of yourself, not only so you can feel better during one of the most emotionally difficult times of your entire life experience, which all the therapists will say. And we have a therapist on this show who can talk about it more too. But you also need to be a clear vessel. You need to be a clear vessel so you can hear your inner guidance and truth in your mind, heart, and soul, and you can share it, which is the soul of SOLACE. And we're going to be talking about that today too. Authenticity, really living from a place of truth in your life and navigating through all of your relationships, your marriage relationship with your children, with your family, with your friends, from a very authentic space, and giving ourselves that freedom to share our truth, which is, we're shattering another belief, right? That many of us were raised with of, well, in order to be a good person, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and the truth might hurt their feelings. So maybe just keep that within yourself. We want to encourage everyone to be truthful, be honest. It's your truth. As long as you're sharing it with love and with respect and with mindfulness, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to share. And the final thing, the kind of theme of this show that we're going to really be honing in on, is the root of the SOLACE journey. And that is healing. We are on a journey of healing when we are going through this divorce journey. And I am so excited to share this with you. I'm sending you all so much love, and I can't wait to introduce the guests after our commercial break.
Fight again. And if you want my opinion, I'll let it take me away. Only relief is the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce and exit a marriage the way you entered it, with mindfulness, love, and respect. SOLACE Divorce Mediation is a full-service law practice helping couples focus on the health and well-being of children and their forever co-parenting family. Our streamlined divorce journey offers flat fees with an estimated completion time frame of 2 to 4 months. If you or a friend need us, visit solacedivorce.com.
Hello, welcome back. So now we are going to bring in these fabulous beings that I referenced. We have Jason Sisneros, Barry Selby, Dr. Michelle Hanna, Martine Lopez, Dr. Brian Repczynski, and Rebecca Clark. And I love all of you so much. I'm so excited. I'm so excited you're here. And so instead of me going through your bios, which I could have easily just read off of off of something. I would love to have the audience connect with you authentically, since that's what we're going to be talking about today, partially, and just go around and introduce yourselves. And if you could share the light work that you do, what is your sole purpose and the passion that you share with the world. So do you want me to, I'll kind of go in order. So Jason, you're first. You want to go first?
I'm first. Okay.
You're first.
Great. Well, I'm a male stripper and the owner of Hair Club for Men. I have no idea why I'm on the show.
I'm so glad you're here.
I don't know how I get my $20 or the dollar bills through the, whatever. My name is Jason Sisneros, and I'm dear friends with Jen, and the work that I do currently, I built companies for a living, and I'm a strategist by trade for companies. And then I spend time now doing, doing rescues of kids in the sex trade, working in domestic violence, fighting that, and then also feeding people through Feed a Billion. So that's me.
Love that. Thank you for being here. And you've been divorced.
Yes, I have been divorced a couple times.
Yeah. Yes.
Barry, how about you? Would you like to please introduce yourself?
I'm not sure I can follow Jason, but I'll do what I can. I'm a love and relationship expert. I've got a best-selling book. I've been dedicated to serving the feminine for about 15 years after my own journey of breakups and transformation. And now I'm working with men as well because I'm in support of women. I've not realized that men need to hear the same thing that I've learned over the years too. So my work is now helping both men and women heal their hearts so they can actually have love after heartbreak. And that's really the focus of my work.
So important. Love is life. It's so important for people to be in love and feel the love. Dr. Brian.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Brian Repczynski, and I'm a psychotherapist of 30 years in the state of Illinois. And I specialize in work with couples and relationship issues, sex therapy, and I like working with the LGBT community. I am a college professor, a dating and relationship coach, and an author. And I'm very happy to be a part of the conversation on this. It's an important one. It's a wonderful reframe on the whole divorce concept.
And I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. Martine.
How you doing? Thank you for having me. My name is Martine Lopez. I'm an author of the book called The Curiosity Theory, Transforming the Way You Communicate. And I wrote that book after having an argument with my former wife and started helping people communicate more effectively. I saw that I was not a good communicator. I thought I was a great communicator, but I certainly was not a good communicator, did not own my emotions, did not own the results of my actions. So now I work with men who are in the middle of a divorce or have been divorced for a while, or they're contemplating divorce or even an affair. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Michelle.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I work with singles and couples. I help them to emotionally heal, connect deeper to intimacy, and ultimately live authentically. I've written 4 books, but the one that I am just over the moon about is the self vows. And that is basically taking your journey back to self. The traditional wedding vows, we usually take to another, but we should take that to ourselves first before we actually extend that to another. So that is the work that I'm doing now that I'm so proud about. Whether you're single, whether you're a couple, you need to take your self vows.
I love that. Being selfish and loving yourself. And Rebecca. Oh, you're muted, love.
There you go.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
You can hear me. I'm a family law attorney practicing in Ohio. I have 14 years experience in the courtroom. However, I'm also intimately trained as a mediator, a parenting time coordinator, and a guardian ad litem. So I work very closely with families, particularly with families with children in all kinds of situations and scenarios. And really, my intention for being here today is to share what knowledge I have about litigation and its impact on families and the value of mediation and kind of really looking at alternative paths rather than the courtroom to resolve divorce and child custody matters.
I love that so much. And I love that so much because I know you're like deep in the family law litigation, like state Supreme Court stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Are you excited? Are we all as excited as I am? I'm like bouncing in my bouncing
We're up
ball.
there. We're up there.
We're gonna start associating love with divorce. Yay, it's so amazing. Oh, it's extraordinary. So I would love to start with children, right? I'd love to start this conversation with kids, right? The heart of SOLACE. And really, I think there's such a strong belief system associated with kids and how, you know, parents need to stay together for their kids, you know, and kids that grow up with parents that stay together are better functioning than other children. You know, the kids that go through divorce are going to be drug addicts and all of those awful, awful things. So Brian, you work with couples and with families, and you're a therapist. You know, what are your thoughts on that belief system that, you know, kids that grow up in households of parents that stay married are better off?
I think that really varies according to the family system. Research shows that the more high conflict couples do, unfortunately, cause the most damage to children growing up. And if that persists and they do not divorce, that can cause a lot of psychological harm to the children. It's really a case by case kind of a basis, but in the end, it all depends on how well the parents get along, and that they don't triangulate the child into their conflicts and are able to really try to buffer the children from any of that to protect them.
Okay. And Rebecca, my love, being in the court system, what is your experience? Oh, did Rebecca just leave? Okay. Well, Rebecca's gone. Anyone else? I would love to hear from you guys. What's that, Jason? You're muted.
I said, she's like, I'm not answering your silly
She's
question.
like,
I'm out of
peace
here.
Peace out. I don't want to tell anyone about what I'm doing to kids.
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
job. Yeah,
That's one of those tough questions. I don't want to answer that one.
She's like, I thought this was a divorcee meditation, not divorce mediation.
Kumbaya. We're all going to take some deep breaths.
Stay with me, please.
Yes. Well, what about any of you? Do you have anything, you know, in your areas of expertise, you know, any thoughts about this? Because I feel like it's such a destructive belief that parents hold on to.
I'll share with you the story that I had when I sat my kids down. They were both teenagers in their late teens. I took them to a Chinese restaurant. I sat down. I was prepared to address any sadness, any upset they had. I said, boys, I just want to let you know that Mom and I are going to be, I'm going to be moving out. Mom and I are going to be getting a divorce. They both looked at me and said, it's about time. And it was kind of humiliating because, you know, my thought was the experience that I left my kids with was not the experience that I wanted them to have. So they were left with an experience of two people who loved each other but could not function and did not manage themselves very well. And it was more, I kind of laughed and I kind of laughed and I kind of was relieved. When I sat back, I was humiliated and realized that wasn't what I wanted to have happen. So.
Isn't that so interesting? Like, kids are so in tune to energy. We're all energetic beings living, right? I mean, we all have an energetic vibration. All of you are vibing so high right now. But I think kids particularly are so tuned into that.
Absolutely. Yeah. My kids, I tried to get back together after about a year, and my son was so upset. He's like, you know, if you try to get back together with Mom, I'm never going to talk to you again. And he actually didn't talk to me for about a year. When we finally started to heal our relationship, what he said was, you know, I just couldn't trust that you guys would be, you know, good parents. And then I'd have to deal with you guys fighting. I just couldn't deal with that anymore. Yeah.
And Jason, you have kids through divorce.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I am an expert at is having them. So, I'm
You're very good at having children.
I'm good at that part. I'm really good at that part.
Jason,
Yeah.
I've got you. Trust me.
I did it twice.
Yeah, 5 times. I'm at 5, and
I had 3 times, but 5 kids. So if you see how that math works out, there's a set of triplets in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Awesome. Yeah, it's nice being on a panel with actual experts, and then I'm wondering what the hell am I doing here? I think it's like so you could all psychoanalyze me, like you're all experts in your field, and I'm just an expert at making kids and mistakes. So here we go. Not that my kids are mistakes, I'm just kidding. So I think that what has happened through my divorces and the interaction between me and my exes and my kids is we made the priority the children, right? And yeah, they weren't, the initial split was never super fun, on that perspective, but we made the kids a priority. We're like, it was not their fault. And we're going to be adults because the kids are the ones that have to live their lives and go on with our training. And, they've got a big, bad world out there that they got to be able to confront. And so, yeah, I don't think that parents that hate each other is a good environment for anybody, is my opinion. And I also don't believe that you should hate each other in front of the kids. And, you should be able to rise above that, in my opinion. And we've been able to do that. Me and my ex we're all like a happy, like, tribe of human beings at this point in time. But not in the beginning. Like, I know there's that initial split, but we really have made it about the kids. And I think most people, if they focus on selflessness and less selfishness, and I think it just translates to the children better.
I love that. Yeah. Focusing on the kids, focusing on if it's good for them.
In my expert baby making opinion. Okay.
And divorcing and
That's right.
Everyone hanging out together and loving
That's
each
it.
other and enjoying holidays and vacations together.
It's
Absolutely.
cool.
It's so important to see that.
I love the happy tribe of human beings. That's fabulous. That's great. I'm using that one. I'm taking that.
That should be a
Good.
t-shirt.
It's all yours, buddy. It's all yours. I'm just over here nervous that Dr. B is psychoanalyzing me during this whole thing. Yes, I have childhood traumas. Okay, Brian. Okay, Dr. Brian.
I saw him get out this big book. He got that really big book. Yeah. Hold on. That's just not. I don't know where to find that one.
That's interesting, Sisneros. Could you tell me more about that?
I'm gonna have to look in the index for that one.
So for my offer something to the conversation, just because this is
yes, Barry, I was just coming to you. Yes, yes, love, please do.
Loving this. No, but this is the thing to understand is that when we're very young, when we're like born, we don't come with user manuals, and our parents don't get them when we're born either. So how the hell do we learn to have relationships as adults? As kids, we watch our parents model it for us, not consciously. We just do it without even thinking. And the challenge is especially when couples are breaking up, divorcing, is oftentimes the parents are not aware of what they're teaching their children. So what Jason said was so important about having a recognition that the sooner you get back to loving, that's what Martin said too, the better, because the truth is the kids aren't necessarily going, I'm taking notes, like he was joking about earlier, that sense, but they're taking it in without realizing it. So these kids are getting imprinted at a young age and going, that's the way it must be. So a lot of times children of divorced parents who haven't healed that relationship will tend to go through the same patterns when they become adults. Yes. So for their sake, for the kids' sake, the more you can be loving towards each other and to them, the better.
And then that's a reflection on you as well. You can only have your own experience of life. Like I only have my own experience of life. So it was, when I looked at what my kids said, I thought, is that the experience I wanted them to have? I looked back at my own experience. That certainly wasn't the experience I want to have. And when I talked to Yvette, a year later or so, it's like, she told me what her experience was of our marriage. I was like, wow, that certainly wasn't the experience I was expecting the woman that I said I love to have.
And I think that's exactly part of the hardest part of divorce. One of many hard parts of divorce, but is what you just said, you have all of these expectations and beliefs of what it's going to be. And then it's not any of that because it's ending. It's not, you're not growing old and dying together. It's ending. But But I do love that too, modeling, for our children. That's such an important thing, of modeling to them what is a loving marriage, with all the romantic love and the flirting and the dates and all of those beautiful things to show our children. That's a very important part
And
point
Jen,
to bring up.
I think it's important too that, we always remember that we're relationship role models for kids too. And it's important to also model what it's like when we do have differences with each other. What's a healthy way to manage conflict so that they can learn those important skills moving forward too.
Absolutely. They're like little sponges. They're learning everything from us, not from just what we're saying, but from the energy vibration that we're giving them, and when what we're saying is not matching that vibration, I think there's a lot of issues that stem from that too. Because they're like, wait, what's going on? Do they love each other? Do they not?
Yeah. I like what Dr. Brian was saying is that even the whole concept of managing conflict is such a new idea. It's not something my parents ever knew. And certainly something my grandparents didn't know. My grandmother was married off at 13 years old to a 35-year-old man. And she didn't have anything that, conflict was not, there wasn't even a part of the conversation. We're so fortunate that we have that ability and we have these awarenesses that we can actually go back and maybe help reparent our children as well, the ones that are older.
My kids all learned how to duck because my ex-wife used to throw shit at me. So,
That's a life skill too. That is a life skill too, Jason.
Yeah, sorry, I cussed. I didn't mean to. I forgot. I can't cuss.
His son's a wide receiver in the NFL. He's playing the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Yeah, it was like, Mom's mad.
In
Rebecca,
litigation,
I was just going to ask you. Yeah.
When you talk about conflict resolution, for a lot of my clients, that comes at the cost of litigation. Because they don't know how to resolve their own and they're not sure if they're doing it right. And that comes from this kind of larger theory of game, right? That this is all a game and there's going to be winners and losers. And what we find in litigation is that oftentimes our children are the losers because mom and dad might think they've won by having the best attorney or spending the most on their attorney or having the biggest file at the end of the day. But when it comes down to it, what we're trying to do is build a life that's going to go beyond the marriage, and especially for our kids. And so when you talk about modeling and children and things like that, think about they don't trust their own decision making. If mom and dad rely on a third party to cut everything in half or to make all the rules, or they use a piece of paper to tell you when they should see the kids or who's going to pick up when and he's 5 minutes late, it really takes away from them a sense of trust in themselves and their ability to make decisions and the ability to cooperate and negotiate. And so what you do is you create entire generations of litigation rather than just simply your divorce. What happens when your children are adults and they go through a custody battle or they, you know what I mean? They kind of look at it that way. They're going to take from their parents, right?
Right.
And for us, that's great. Repeat business, right? I love having generations of clients in my office, but really it comes down to when we look at those children that have been through 12 years of litigation. Part of the reason I do guardian ad litem work, part of the reason I do parenting time coordinating is because I don't want anyone to be a child that grows up in that process. Mom and dad, they're done in a year or two and it's all done, it's all on paper. But these are kids that are going to live with mom and dad's guilt or their mom and dad's inability or mom and dad's shame, right? They take all of that in and they grow up in that. And so being able to move away from that, being able to look at alternative conflict resolution, being able to look at mediation or negotiation, coordination, those are all the better role modeling that we should be doing for our kids in divorce and post-decree.
Oh, I love that. Can I share something?
That. Yes.
So there was a book that I read, it was probably 10, 12 years ago, and it was called I Don't Want to Talk About It. And the gentleman in the book spoke about how we as children, we take on what we see with our parents. So if we see our parents arguing, then what we'll do is we think as little children that if we take on the feeling that we think our mom's having or our dad's having and we internalize it, that they won't experience those feelings. So then we're now projecting what we think Dr. Brian, talk about this, please, and Dr. Michelle, that we as children, we do that. So now we're now encapsulating these emotions in ourselves and we go through our life and our expectation is that our parents are no longer going to feel those pains. So then but they keep fighting. So we keep putting more pain on ourselves. I haven't put enough on myself because mom is still sad or dad's still sad.
Mm-hmm. And that's so much on children, especially children nowadays. It's like when all of us were children, there wasn't all this stuff of like social media and, all of these different things. So yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot on children, Martine. And Brian or Michelle, do you have anything to share about that?
I actually have a unique perspective and just my own journey of divorce. So I saw my parents not really show emotional intimacy to one another. And that was something that I really needed to see. And so there was no real blueprint of how you do marriage. And then there was no blueprint of how you do divorce. But I did know that when I went through a divorce, that I did not want my child, who was literally a baby, a toddler at that time, to feel the uncomfortable feelings that I felt in my mom and dad's marriage. And it was that the nonverbal things that they didn't think that I seen or that I felt, So I went through a divorce. And her father was not in her life at all. So it was just me just raising her and trying to deal with this pain of the divorce, but feeling like I can't really deal with this pain because I'm a mom and I have to now do all of this stuff myself. Thank God for my mom being there to help. But this is what then happened. When she was 18, she decided that she wanted to meet her father on her own terms. And I had nothing to really do with it, we had not healed. We had not connected, nothing. So now my daughter, who is 25, college graduate, she just had her first child. So I'm a Mimi now. My daughter was very strong in standing in her unapologetic truth to say to me, Mom, we have to do this better. And I didn't realize that there was residual pain and hurt from that divorce, because loving through divorce, that was not even in the same sentence. Like I could not even put love and divorce and my ex, that I just couldn't even wrap my head around that. Yeah. What I could wrap my head around was the pain that I felt and the disconnection that I felt. I also could not wrap my head around wanting him to be happy and healthy. None of that connected, because I'm like, you didn't want me to be happy and healthy. You did this to me, now I'm here raising this child. But at the same time, what I realized is that there's a lot that my daughter went through that she didn't necessarily communicate with me. And now that we're having those conversations, now there's the baby shower. Haven't seen him in 23 years. There's there are just all these different things that we're, wait a minute, now I'm grandparents with you,
It's a forever relationship when kids are involved. Yes.
Right. And so this is so beautiful right now in this space, because this is helping me so much to look at this perspective of now blended families very differently. And because I do want the best for my grandson, I want him to have a different experience of love and marriage and relationship. And me and your grandfather can sit in the same room and maybe even laugh, So when you're going through divorce, I feel like you have to sip divorce. You can't gulp it. And sometimes it's a drink and a cup that you just want it to pass. You don't even want to drink from it on some days, So I think that what's so important about love and divorce, why it's so important, is because my situation did not have to be that way. We could have healed through divorce. We could have shown each other love and grace and patience if we both would have committed to that. But we were taught divorce had to be nasty and it had to be a fight. And whoever wins, you know, that's the winner in it all. But actually, we ended up losing because I think we failed my daughter. But the beautiful thing is a new day. It is a new day, and I am willing to connect with love.
Yes.
After divorce, like what, 23 years after.
That's all right. The healing happens when it happens. And in my
it happens when it happens.
In my belief
but I
system,
wanted to share that.
No, keep going.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And I'm so grateful you shared that, because in my belief system, our children choose us to be their parents. So your daughter chose you to be mom, and she chose, you know, dad to be dad for all of the lessons that you taught her. And in her journey, it was exactly the way that it was meant to be, and yours and his, you know, and now you're on this path of love and healing, which is beautiful. And that was something, Barry, that you had brought up earlier, is shifting back to love. And so I wanted to explore that a little more from you, of how can couples, you know, who are tuning in and who maybe have the same, you know, thoughts as Dr. Michelle right now of like, what are these people even talking about? Like, love through divorce. I hate my husband right now. Like, I hate all of this. Like, this is the worst experience of my life. What are they even talking about? What's some guidance that you can share?
Well, one of the challenges is, frankly, is that, well, first of all, I talk about this with some of my friends, that most people before they get married don't see a minister, priest, expert, coach, therapist, or anything else. They just go, I'm in love, let's get married. And there's some, it's like you're rolling the dice and see what happens. And the thing is, for divorce, for most people, is it's not based on love, because it's all the vitriol and the upset and the stuff that was never uncovered at the beginning that is still carrying through. And the challenge of divorce for most people is they don't know how to navigate it from a place of love anymore, because they didn't really, to be honest, maintain love through the whole relationship. Oftentimes, divorce is either triggered by a sudden thing where maybe someone cheated or did something else aberrant, or it's because over a duration of time, the love has basically faded. And so remembering love in the divorce is the last thing people want to think about. But the truth, as I said already several times, is, you know, for the kids and everything else, to be able to love or hold space for love for our children in that process is maybe the most important thing, beyond even the financial settlement and the choice about living apart and everything else. The thing I talk about with my work is that for most people, when they have heartbreak, they don't know how to navigate beyond it. And divorce often partners having heartbreak. And so they feel stuck in that place. And the challenge with that sort of emotion is it becomes very sticky for them. They live there because it's the only place they know that's familiar. And then to make it even more fun, they tie divorce to the heartbreak together. So until the divorce is over, they can't feel anything else. So part of the work is to learn how to love themselves through the journey, through the process. That's a whole other piece of the conversation.
Yes, but that's a big piece of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
That is a very big piece, is that self-care and self-love piece of really tuning into yourself and giving yourself what you need, you know, during that.
Also, divorce is not let me say this clearly. Divorce is not failure. But many people take it that way.
Yes. What do you see divorce as? I would love you to reframe that for everyone.
I see it as failure.
Or anyone, because I agree completely. And that's part of those.
What divorce is a chapter ending. Not a book
Say that again?
It's a chapter ending. It's not a book ending. Because your life is the book.
Yes.
But part of your journey is that relationship. And if divorce happens, it's the end of a chapter.
Yes.
And it sounds clinical, but in a way it's what it means, because your life doesn't end when the divorce happens. The question is, what are you going to do beyond that? Especially if you have kids. How are you going to be with them after divorce? So you've got to remember there's more to the story than just, okay, we're done. End of story.
Right.
You know?
And you know, Mary, I think it's a rebirth. I do. I think the chapter is ending, and then I think that it's our chance to reset and just do a do-over, and it's okay. Like, I give myself a do-over every single day. I'm literally born again every day. I was born again this morning, you guys.
I'm a different person every week.
Take the lessons with you, though. Don't do a do-over and repeat the same thing again.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. The do-over is what you learned from what you did the day before, and you learn from that, but you don't hold yourself hostage in the past of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what we see in divorce is growth, right?
Yeah.
Growth as a person and growth as a parent, right? We come out, if we do it right, we come out with a better sense of ourselves, and that makes us a better person all around to everyone that we deal with. This idea that it's kind of like a car accident, right? We can't control life. Never have been able to, right? So it's not about what happens in life, it's how you deal with it. It's who you become on the other side. And so very much like a death or somebody close to you, this divorce is just a life-changing event. You're going to go through so many of those, right? And it's just who you become on the other side. And then, and especially when you're a parent, right? Like maybe you've been a parent that had the other parent to rely on. And so you weren't the ballet and lunches and, you know what I mean? That wasn't your role. And now you're going to take that role because that's your opportunity to bond with your kids. And so I find a lot of parents are actually better on the other side than they ever were during the marriage, because if they weren't happy with themselves during the marriage, they weren't being the best role model for anybody, right? They weren't able to truly love those kids or love that relationship with their children the way they could after they kind of got past the ugliness of the divorce and could say, yeah, you know what, at the end of the day, he's a great dad. Maybe I didn't see it during the marriage, maybe I didn't appreciate it during the marriage, but he is a great dad and the kids really love him. And my role is to foster that relationship between the children and their dad. It's not to interfere with it. It's not to tell him he's doing it wrong. It's really to just appreciate it for the children.
Yeah.
I think too, you know, divorce initially creates a crisis for, you know, the individual, the couple, the family. It's really a systemic ripple effect. And I think our survival brains in those moments kick us into this, you know, perpetual fight or flight response. So we just want to, you know, put up our dukes and fight because we're so angry at what happened. But there's a concept called conscious uncoupling. And it's really a great strategic way of just learning to soothe that fight or flight response and to regulate ourselves so that we can, you know, be conscious and deliberate and intentional on how we approach the divorce process. And it's through that journey that I think it's just a great way to transform divorce into an opportunity for growth, like you were saying.
Absolutely. Conscious uncoupling. I love Gwyneth. Can't wait to meet her, be friends with
Great
her.
book.
Have Goopy the SOLACE toolboxes for all my clients. It's gonna be amazing. But no, I love that. And that's something, Rebecca, that you have brought up earlier too, is that conscious uncoupling. It's really difficult to consciously uncouple in the litigation setting, you know, because of the attorney's roles. And Rebecca, I love you. You're an attorney. I'm an attorney. We're not bad people. It's just our job, you know, when we're in that environment. And that's really where, you know, working together and going through the journey together, just like they entered, you know, you can exit together too, is I think where all of that healing, you know, really the heart of it is in that growth.
Well, your job was defined before you showed up. So you're redefining it. That's what I love.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I see as a challenge is, you know, is there such vitriol? Why is it like, what's the root cause of that? And it's because we have become so soft and so pampered and so privileged in this world that we have forgotten that the number one component of success is failure, right?
I love that.
And so we have this thing and we fail just a little bit and we like freak out. Oh my gosh. It's like we freak out. It's like, oh, I failed a little bit. Well, if you understand that failure is a big piece of success, you start to learn like, okay, what do I want my relationship to look like, right? What do I want to be as far as a parent? And you start with the end in mind and you reverse engineer to where you are and you go, okay, cool, we tried that. I'm a little upset. I'm a little pissed today, rather than balling it up, and then it becomes a divorce, right? but okay, cool. I learned how not to love you, you know, and this idea that we carry around with our kids that they have to live in some like thing, and we're not going to fight, and we're not going to get divorced, and there's not going to be anger, and there's not going to be prejudice, and there's not going to be all that stuff. Like we're might as well be kicking our kids in the head ourselves, because there is conflict, you know, and there is the pain. And yeah, you know, guess what? You're going to have to face heartbreak. You're going to have to face people coming, you know, being mean to you. You're going to have to face all that. And I think that this conversation is phenomenal. I'm enjoying it very much. But I think it's that expectation of understanding higher levels. Like, we can't screw up our kids. Our kids come through us, not from us. Right? You can't. I had the worst childhood that you could possibly imagine. I'm living a damn good life because I had the worst dad on the face of the planet that went to prison for attempted murder of me and my mom when I was 17. Beat the crap out of me, beat the crap out of her. I started standing in front of her. Now I stand in front of a lot of women as the shield in domestic violence, right? Like, whatever that is, as long as you teach the kids how to deal with conflict, you're going to give them the greatest tool that they will ever possibly have in navigating the real world, right? Not this fake world of everybody is a victim and you get a free pass card because of this or that or the other. That ruins kids, right? That's what you just might buy. Boop, here, let me just damage you a little bit more.
Oh my God, I love that. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, we have to go to a commercial, but I want to pick up on exactly what you're talking about of how we cannot screw up our kids, because I think that's a big fear that parents have going through divorce.
I have
All
a
right,
question.
everyone.
Jen, before we go to commercial, can we play the Brady Bunch? You go, dun 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 dun. Here's the story.
Yes.
I'm Alice.
I'm going to Google who I am. All right, we're going to commercial, everyone. I love you all.
It's your time, and the Becoming the Best You Conference in St. Louis is where you want to be. This 3-day event featuring over 35 impactful speakers with 16 breakout sessions to choose from will help you achieve the best of your life for the rest of your life. Come and dance the night away on Saturday night at the Black Tie Affair and enjoy the live entertainment as we close out Tickling Your Funny Bone with comedian Jeremy Nunez. Get your tickets today and we'll see you there.
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce and exit a marriage the way you entered it, with mindfulness, love, and respect. SOLACE Divorce Mediation is a full-service law practice helping couples focus on the health and well-being of children and their forever co-parenting family. Our streamlined divorce journey offers flat fees with an estimated completion time frame of 2 to 4 months. If you or a friend need us, visit solacedivorce.com.
I love that. I thought so much about pens. It was beautiful.
We're all back. Let's see if
We're
I'm
all
Alice.
back. Here are all the boxes coming back. Oh, we're in a different order. It's beautiful.
right.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
No, we're the Hollywood
Hello.
Squares.
Welcome
High five.
back.
Oh, wait, that's over here. High
This
five,
way.
Barry.
High five, Martine. Other way. There you are.
Wait.
Hey, Jason. What's up?
Oh, I like when my head gets rubbed.
Now Barry's Alice. I'm the dad.
I don't know who am I, Martine?
You're who's the oldest girl?
Oh, lovely. Marsha? Marsha?
Greg. See, Brian is either Marsha or Greg, or you're Marsha or Greg.
Marsha. Yeah.
Okay, when we left, we were talking about children. And Jason, you said something that really just made my soul so happy to hear. That we cannot screw up our children. Because from the work that I do, the couples that that have children, that is their biggest concern is we're going to screw up our kids, and the reality of all this is they have to be a family after, like Dr. Michelle, like you said, your grandparents together now, they're forever families. So what are some things you guys want to share about this, being a forever family, can't screw up our children, just kind of sharing with people just narratives that they can tune into to help them navigate through?
I think both people have to commit to their own self journey. They both have to commit to that. They have to commit, and I say to those self vows. And I say, for example, to have and to hold from this day forward. Do I have everything about myself? Am I owning my own stuff? Am I willing to be accountable for the things that I need to work out in my own stuff, not the responsibility of my ex or whomever else? This is my journey to hold, to support. Sometimes a lot of people, I feel in couples counseling, they're looking for that other person to be responsible for their happiness and to be their biggest cheerleader, when you should be your biggest cheerleader. Everything else is icing on the cake to move forward. Do you just stir in the past? Because if you do, you're going to bring that into the relationship or even love after divorce. So you got to fix that stuff about yourself first. It really should be to love and to cherish to death do I part first, as long as I shall live. And then we can extend that to another. But I really believe that it starts with self first. And if you could get two people, when I split my couples up and they do their own self journey, when they come back together, they are different people. They are really transformed, and they're less in pain. They want to feel in order to heal. They're more forgiving. They want to hear what that other person is saying from a place of compassion. And so then they can have the tough conversations, and they're not fighting one another. And, sometimes the couples say, let's give it another try. And I've been able to keep successfully as a guide, like 800 couples together. And I think that's amazing. And then I've also been able to prevent people from actually staying together when really they do need to go their separate ways. They can still be healthy, and they can still find love and healing within that space. You have to feel in order to heal.
I'm taking this new therapy to Dr. Brian to see if I can get it certified somewhere. It's called the hashtag nobody cares, right? Hashtag nobody cares. And here's what I think.
About what Dr. Michelle said though, right?
No.
Oh, no, I didn't take it like that.
No.
Okay, good.
It's sort of to piggyback on her brilliance to say, what I have found in my life, and it was a conversation with a really trusted mentor. And I was going through some stuff, and and he pulled me aside and he said, Jason, he goes, who loves you the most on the face of the planet? And I said, instantly, my mom. Like, there was no pause. It's my mom. And he goes, well, what do you think she's thinking about right now? And I was like, how am I supposed to know? And he kind of sat back in his chair and did one of those things. And I'm like, oh, she's not thinking about me. Right? Like, the challenges that we come up with and we make up in our head are because we think we put so much weight into what other people think about us. Oh, what about in my divorce? What's my church going to think? And what's my sister going to think? And what's my blah, 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 blah. And then they're just not thinking about you. right? They're just not thinking about me. And it's a lonely moment for a second. And then at the you go, oh, they're not thinking about me, so I can stop centering my entire damn life around an imaginary set of rules that was set by people who aren't thinking about me and probably don't like me, and I probably don't like them either, right? So you find your home. Like what I learned was I found my home. My home is joy, and that has nothing to do with my partner. That has nothing to do with the woman I love, with my kids, with my people that are in my life. That it has nothing to do with them, right? It has everything to do with that's my home. And that's where a lot of people I feel, and again, I'm not a therapist, but I had to therapize myself, right? To get through all of the stuff that I was going through to say that's my home. And you don't get to come in here to touch that joy unless you're adding to it. You'll get to come in. Right. Yes. And I think if we understood that really we take away all of that stuff and we say nobody actually cares unless they're the right ones, and a lot of people in our lives care when we screw stuff up because that makes them feel better about themselves. And that's the wrong relationship to have.
Oh, I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like that. Let me I'd like to add to that too. So, I'm thinking, is it why would I think that I have that much responsibility over or influence on my own children? Now I get it that we do influence our kids, but at some point our children they're left with themselves, and they then have the ability to then make their own choices. So, I can empower them. I can do my best. I can make mistakes. I can be a great dad. But the fact of the matter is that all those scenarios exist out there. And guess what? Some kids come out, and kids come out the way they come out. We come out the way that we come out in spite of our parents. And sometimes as a result of our parents, it's just us to choose which path as adults, as we come out of childhood, which path we're going to take. And then we have work to do. We're always going to have work to do.
Absolutely. And I love that. We do always have work to do, and it is all about our own self-love. It is no one else's job to give us love or make us feel loved or make us feel happy. That is our job. And I love that you're all tuning into that, because that's so important for people who are navigating through divorce to really hone in on, because a lot of times divorce is coming because they're frustrated because the partner isn't giving them all the things that they need. But at the end of the day, that's their job to do
Absolutely.
those things.
So divorce is simply a strategy to meet an unmet need. And it could be love, it could be appreciation, it could be acknowledgement, it could be all kinds of different things. Who knows what it is? We all are going to have different needs, and they constantly show up all day at different times.
I think it should be an enhancement, right? To somebody that already likes themselves. So like, when Emily and I got together, who I'm getting ready to marry on June 9th, like
nice.
When we came together, I was like, it's everything's been an enhancement. Like I've been an enhancement in her areas. She's been an enhancement in mine. Unfortunately, it took me 51 years to figure this crap out. I'm a slow learner, and she's super smart. So, it should be, an enhancement. And if you know who you are and you figure all this stuff out ahead of time, or even right now, you might be in a miserable relationship or a miserable marriage right now and go, well, maybe we hate each other because I hate me.
Yeah.
Let me start loving me first, and maybe there's another way. And you go, okay, well, I can't take responsibility for another human being. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. That's a lot to carry on my back to say, well, I'm making you happy. What?
Yeah.
No, like that's not my responsibility. You're a big girl, right? I'm a big boy. We take responsibility for our own actions and where we go home to.
Absolutely. I love it. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
I will be here soon.
Yeah, it took me a few years, a few attempts, like.
But look at all the learning. See, that's what we're talking about, Jason.
Oh my gosh, so valuable.
And loving through divorce, and look at where you're at now.
You think, Dr. Michelle, I don't know if you're married now, but I mean, how much better of a relationship, right? Like we get, because we screwed up so badly, we get to be able to go, okay, I know all the things not to do. Like
Absolutely.
It's so much better now.
I was going to tell you that you are you just got better and better and better. And now This is just a great version of yourself
Oh my
that
gosh, yes.
you are extending with your fiance. And yes, I am married. It took me a long, long time.
Yeah.
Finally, I did do it. And, you know, this is the best version. I'm so proud of myself of just the work that I've done on myself and committed to it. And I like me and I love me. And I fall so in love with me every day, even when I get on my own nerves, but I still love me, you know, and I'm able to be such a better version of myself within this marriage and just a better mother. Something I'd like to share with you is that there was a saying that when I was going through a divorce, I thought there's just no way. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but it was that the people that hurt you the most are your greatest teachers. And I just could not get my head around that. Because I'm like, how this person that hurt me, even if they did it intentionally, how can they be my greatest teacher? But you know what? That is such the truth. Everything that I have went through that has been so painful has been my greatest teacher. And now it's not about the pain of it. It's about the gratitude of it, that I'm actually a better person. I've grown and I've gone through it. And my clients get through it. And you can't spell through without spelling rough. So it's going to be a little rough, but you can get through it.
I'm writing that down. That needs to be
I
a
am
bumper
too.
sticker.
I'm actually writing down the letters. I'm
My
like,
new T-shirt.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
That's a T-shirt.
Thank
I love it.
you.
And when you're that whole, right? When you do love yourself that much, you realize that we're put on this earth to love others, right? It's to serve. And now I look at when I got into relationship with Emily, I can go, okay, what are your outcomes? I can now fall in love with her outcomes, right? And be a person of value to her in her journey, because I'm good. Like, I don't need her to make me feel like a man or feel like I'm necessary or feel like I have self-worth or whatever it is. I know who I'm worth. I know what I am. I'm a child of God Almighty. You know what I mean? And so now what is she here for? Where can I add to that value, right?
Yeah.
Love that.
It sounds to me like Jason and Dr. Michelle, is that the way you're looking at it is, what's the opportunity here? What's the opportunity here?
Absolutely.
I know who I am. At least I have an idea who I am, and I like this version of me right now. I know that's going to improve. So what's the opportunity? How can I experience myself the life that I want to live? And then how can I help other people have that experience of me as well as themselves?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think there's some truth to that statement that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. One of the things that we teach our children in divorce, right, is resilience.
Yeah.
As an early attorney, I was taught that children would rather be from a broken home than live in one. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. Yeah, I didn't get it, right? It didn't make any sense to me. And then I realized that those homes that are so broken, right, these children that are in them are not learning the coping skills. They're not learning the growth skills. They're not learning the skills they need to move forward. And so it's when they are separated, when they are now living in what I call a soft place to land, right? That's what home is for me. It's a soft place to land. At the end of my day, at the end of my journey, this is the place where I can sink into the couch, and that is where home is. And so oftentimes what we teach our children post decree is resilience. It's I can come back from anything. I went through the worst experience of my life. I learned a lot. I'm a different person now. But I took all of that growth, and now we're going to do something great with it. And so if that's the lesson we can teach our kids, I think that gives my clients some sense of security, because they come in and they say, oh my gosh, I'm just so worried. Like, how will I handle it when kids aren't with me, right? They're with their dad every other week. And how do I control it if he gets angry? Or how do I protect my kids if he says something mean to them or whatever? And really, It's not about you protecting your kids. It's about you teaching them what they need to know to protect themselves, right? Outside of domestic violence, setting that aside, like whole different issues there. Setting aside addiction, whole different issues there, right? I want my kids to be warriors, right? And I want them to take on the armor and learn from mine, right? I don't want them to have to start from scratch. So what I am learning, I am teaching them, I am creating in them a sense of independence, a self-sufficiency, and they're watching me grow, right? And they're seeing me make mistakes, they're seeing me reborn, they're seeing me cry. It's all part of the process, right? I don't want them to hide their feelings. I don't want them to think that they have to hide their feelings from me or from anyone else, right? If it makes you sad, it makes you sad. We can talk about why, but you know, feel free to go ahead and say, this really makes me angry. Instead of barreling it up, right? Because that's what we did in the marriage. We like put it all in one place and we didn't talk about it. And instead, I want my kids to come out of that talking about all of it, right? When I have, as a guardian ad litem, when I have a kid that says to me, I don't want to talk about it, that terrifies me more than the kids who want to tell me about the stuffed bunny that's at their dad's house, or, you know, this time I saw dad do this, you know what I mean? The kid that doesn't want to talk about it, it's because he's been taught not to. Right? Nobody has shown him the luxury of having that open door, of having that conversation.
But there's a lack of trust, safety, and respect in that environment.
Absolutely.
If I don't feel safe, I'm certainly not going to share. If I don't trust you with my emotions, I'm not going to share. In my relationship, I just didn't trust Yvette with my emotions. I didn't trust that I would say something and later it was going to be used against me. Well, that was how I was. So I was simply projecting that. I kept what she said on a piece of paper, and I was, you know, locked inside somewhere, and I was ready to use it when I needed to. So, you know.
And that's
Rebecca, I think.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Dr. Michelle.
I was just going to say, Rebecca, your example, what that felt like to me is that you are teaching your children how to be authentic. Through your actions, like your life is teaching them how to be authentic and being comfortable in that. Authenticity, I think, is so beautiful because it feels free. It feels like home. It feels comfortable without fear. So I think that's so beautiful that you are teaching them that at such a young age, that they get that lesson. With a lot of us, we started to learn that lesson as adults, but you're giving that to them now.
It's beautiful. The most powerful breakthrough I ever had in my life was a 4th grade teacher that taught me to fall in love with the English language. It gave me a way of expressing the thing. It changed my life. Like everything that I live today is because I was able to transmit what was going on in my head to the written page, right? Made me fall in love with the dictionary, right? A new word every day. And writing stories and being able to, it transmitted me out of the situation that I was in, right? I could make believe worlds and communicate at a much higher level. So if you have a parent maybe watching this, teach your kids to fall in love with the written word, with books, with, you know, writing and that kind of stuff. It's a phenomenal tool.
Oh,
absolutely. And, you know, I feel a lot of times like all of us seem similar ages, right? Like when we were growing up, I think the dynamic was different between parents and children, where it was like parents here, children should be seen and not heard. And I love, Rebecca, what you were sharing about the conversations. And I feel like that's a big part of this new, you know, way of divorcing, of incorporating love through divorce, is incorporating our children into this conversation too, you know, and we're a family that's restructuring from married to co-parents and creating, you know, Martine, like you said, creating that safe space for children so they can share. And it's not just one conversation. Like so many of my clients are like, we have to have the talk. It's like, well, enjoy, because it's one of many. Like it's your new way of being, you know, it's not just one time. It's this continual narrative that we're having with our children of how we're changing as a family.
Well, like what Jason said as well, you know, if what you're, you know, if you're 13 years old or 10 years old or even 15 years old, you know, your relationship with language is not an adult relationship with language. So as as you know, as you're going through what you're going through, I think it's important to understand that the people that are being affected as children, they don't have the language skills that you have. And so teaching them, like you said, Jason, a new word every day, you know, a new word could be kindness. A new word could be, you know, expression. It could, you know, you could start teaching new words that are emotional words, you know, frustration, anger, you know, because children don't, and most people don't understand don't have a handle enough on language and emotions to be able to just actually describe their own emotions, much less children.
It's like giving him a paintbrush that says you have black and white versus here's a myriad of colors that you can paint with. Right.
Yeah.
And if we don't do that, if we don't embody the love of the written language of language in and of itself, then we're not there. They won't model it. You could fix a lot of screwed up kids by falling in love with the written language. Right.
Yes.
Well, or just finding their mode of communication. Right.
Yeah.
And I say that to you from this perspective. My youngest son is on the spectrum. And so speech was a huge issue for him at the outset. And there was so much there that we couldn't get to because he couldn't say it. And I knew it was there. I just couldn't get it out of him. And so what we had to do was learn how Gabe communicates, right? What is his chosen method, right? Is it, and for him, it's building, right? He's a builder. He's a creator. He's take two elements, make something out of it. And now here he is at 8, and he is an avid reader. Like I knew that the minute we found what he wanted, like that would be his world, right? And that's exactly what it is. So it opened every door for him. Every door was being able to read and being able to find others that were like him in that sense, right? Other kids that like to build or other, you know, so we read to him and he just loves it. That's his love language. It's us reading to him. It's us engaging with him in that way. So
fabulous.
I think one of the things that we learn is that in mediation, in all of this, it's creating that safe space, right? Yes. That safe space to be who you are, right? Not who I've perceived you to be, not who I'm worried you're going to become, but who you are, right? So being able to say, this hurts my feelings, or this really affected how I see love, or whatever it is. If our parents can do that, then our kids will learn to do that. And and we don't do it in front of them. My parents were the kind that never argued in front of the kids. Right. That every argument was held in their bedroom after we all went to bed because, you know, apparently we can't hear through the walls, or, you know, whatever it might be. Right.
We all talk about walking in on our parents and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was like, you know, I didn't grow up in a big house, so like I heard every word of it. But that's the thing. Like my husband and I will engage in all kinds of debate right in front of the kids. And even if he raises his voice, because my husband is just a loud talker, and the kids are like, "You're yelling," and he's like, "No, I'm not yelling. I'm just trying to, you know, I just want you to hear what I'm passionate about, or I just want you to hear what I'm excited about." We do that with our kids because we want them to do that. We want them to know that they can be really excited about something and tell us about it, or really sad about something and tell us about it. And that's like a huge step, though. That comes as a process of my husband and I learning about us and how we communicate, which was not always easy. And then being able to distill to our children that however they communicate, we will listen. Whatever need they have, we will be there for that, right? And that means every kid is different. 5 kids, set of triplets, and every kid is different.
Wow. I want to respond to that really quick, if you don't mind. Before you, Brian, you know, what I learned was that in my relationship, what I did is I would argue, you know, and we'd talk out what we were talking about, and then we'd go to the room and finish it, versus work through the resolution in front of the kids, like show the kids like this is how you resolve it. So we never demonstrated the resolution, how we resolve the things that we just mom and dad came out of the room or came out back from dinner or something. We're not fighting anymore. So they didn't get to see that, you know, that path. I'm sorry, Dr. Brian.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, and I was just going to go along with what Rebecca was saying too. I think it's really helpful for families, if they can, to have like a built-in ritual where they have like a family powwow, you know, where everybody just, it's a forum for everyone to be able to just check in with each other and talk about, you know, how are we feeling? And going along with what Rebecca was saying too, knowing what your children's learning styles are is very helpful. Some children don't have the language, and I think the expressive arts can be super helpful, especially like having kids draw out their feelings, or there's books that, you know, you can read together as a family to help facilitate discussion and dialogue. And it just becomes like a safe place for people to communicate, and it teaches children to be more expressive about, you know, what they're going through, which is the goal.
Doc, can I ask you a question?
Love
Dr.
that.
B, Dr. B, I need to ask you a question.
Sure.
Because this is something that I genuinely don't know the answer to, which is, you know, we hear these words, safe space, and we hear these things, and the world is not a safe place, right?
No.
And I wonder sometimes that, are we building, because there's two sides of it. I understand, like a place that your kids feel like solid and they can trust you with what they're talking about. Like I totally understand that thing, but what happens when you go too far and now you're gonna go, okay, you've been in this safe place and I've created all these safe spaces and this trigger, don't trigger, and don't, and that kind of stuff, and then they go out into the world and they have a job, right? They have a coach, they have a spouse that now, you know, and are we taking that too far, in your opinion?
I agree with you in part. I think helping kids cultivate a sense of safety within their family unit in particular is important to buffer just dealing with the coping and with like divorce and other crises of divorce throughout that. But I do agree with you that, you know, there can be too much of a protectiveness and a cushioning, because there are going to be adversities outside of the family unit that they do need to have those skills to be able to do. So it is a kind of a good enough safety net, and it's teaching how to manage, you know, that when they're out on their own. But I think having that family meeting is a way for them to at least come back and be able to process that there.
So situational, I agree.
Right.
I like that, because I teach my kids to love conflict. Like I teach them to love it, and I teach them, you know, again, the conflict is only if it's, you know, because I teach them emotions high, intellect low, right? And to have a conflict, then and if you're going to engage in it, what is the outcome, right? What is the out? Because it's got to be for progress purposes. You're either going to learn something about it, you're going to sharpen you're going to help somebody switch their mindset, or you're going to change your mindset because the argument was so good, right?
Right.
And it's always for progress. So that's what I teach my kids, is to love conflict for progress sake.
And there's so many different possibilities that come out. You know, I grew up in a real tough neighborhood, so I learned how to fight really young. So it was, you know, my thing was I was a fighter. You know, my reptilian response was, I'm going to fight, and I'm a destroyer. So if I felt any degree of conflict in my marriage, I just destroyed it. You know, my wife, Yvette, she was a runner. She would, like, you know, she was a runner, like she's going to flight, you know, so she didn't like conflict. So she just took off. But the thing is that when I came back, she came back, and she came back as the fighter, and I came back as the, you know, I froze, you know, and then I would engage. So I just bounce around a lot. So, you know, I think that the children are going to turn out the way that children are going to turn out. They're going to learn different skills. I am grateful for being a fighter. I am grateful for being a fighter. If I had to look at myself and I say, what would I choose? Would I rather be, you know, very meek and very quiet? No, I wouldn't choose that one to try, you know, and now I'm going to try to learn fighting skills. I'd rather be a fighter trying to learn, you know, be nice skills. That's just, so, you know, there's always a learning.
Well, it's fascinating. Remember, Jen, you and I were talking on the phone the other day, and it was fascinating because my adopted father was an incredibly abusive person. And when I got into that first marriage, I was exactly the opposite, right? It wasn't that I was running. It was just that I thought, I'm going to be exactly opposite of the man who raised me. And I took all of her crap. Like, you know, it was like she was married to another woman. You know what I mean? Like that was a lesson that I had to learn. And she's one of my best friends on the planet now. You know, but I think that it's interesting how I'm just loving learning from y'all about how to deal with this stuff. It's like I wish you would have been around when I was a kid.
That's exactly it. Like, that's the beauty I find with the marriage journey and the divorce journey, is that it's all happening for each person individually, that each person learns something different. Each person grows in a different way. And it's an opportunity to love yourself and to heal and grow. And we only have a few minutes until question and answer. And we've talked a lot about healing. And I would love to have kind of us close this segment and energy together with each of you sharing, for people, how you feel they can heal through this journey. Like, what are some ways that they can heal? What are some things that they can do to help them heal? Anything about healing that can help people that are going through divorce right now. Barry, do you have anything?
I've got a few things on that quickly. Something that actually both Jason and Michelle said earlier that I just want to come back to is that we have spent most of our lives looking for love outside, get love from somebody else, especially in relationship and marriage, especially. So when the divorce happens, we actually get upset because the person that loved us doesn't love us anymore. We feel lost. That's part of what's underneath everything.
Yes.
So one of the recommendations I do with my clients and in my program is about how really it comes back to, imagine we have a cup that we fill up with love. The opportunity is we can go to other people and say, can you fill up my cup? Can you fill up my cup? Which is what we do in a relationship oftentimes. Say, how can I fill up myself?
Yes.
Jason was saying earlier about giving the love out. The truth is, we are the person we're in the relationship with the longest, to be obvious. But also we forget sometimes that we can actually turn the love upon ourselves. And again, Jason and Michelle said this earlier, and I'm saying another way, which is, imagine the cup you have all the time. You fill it up first. In fact, you fill up so much that it overflows and you give it to other people. And when somebody loves you, they can add to that cup, but it's never filling it up on its own. Yes, there are times in life in your relationship when maybe you feel real down and somebody else can fill up your cup by loving you when you're going through the trauma and the challenges of life. But you fill it up first as a primary focus, especially through divorce.
Yes.
You come through life not needing the other person to do something for you. Secondly, you don't need to take anything from them to make you feel better. Because the other problem in divorce. What can I take I can get from that person so I can feel better?
Yes.
It doesn't work. Because the worst thing that happens is you just hurt the other person and yourself. So imagine again, that cup is full. When you go through divorce, you recognize that cup doesn't require anything from them to be okay, which means you don't need anything from them to be okay. And then you get freedom.
Oh, I love that. Putting the mask on yourself first on the plane.
Yeah.
Every flight they tell you this. It's like, yes, I love that.
Yes.
Dr. Michelle, how about you? What are some ending thoughts on healing that you can share?
Well, I love what Barry said, because when you're on fumes, you actually love from a place on fumes. You give, you show up from a place on fumes. So you have to fill up yourself first. When you date yourself, and I know that's a big buzz, like, oh, date yourself. But no, really, when you date yourself, when you really find out what you really like to do, like I wanted to salsa dance. And I was like, but I don't have a partner right now. I'm like, yes, I do. I have myself. So, I love sunsets. I love sunrises. I can do that with me. I love to shop and I don't have to worry about someone saying, okay, it's time to go. No, I can stay as long as I want to. So these things, you begin to like yourself. Do that first, and then you will begin to fall in love with yourself. And that part is just, it's so refreshing. It's so connecting to self, and it's less stress. You don't have to always try to look to someone else to feel what you want to feel. Feel it for yourself. Give your own self flowers. I'm going to buy me some today.
Yes. And that's the huge, I love that both of you have tuned into self-love, and filling your bucket. And it's so important for people to hear that who are going through divorce, because they're in such a dark place and it's so heavy and it's just so awful. But just hopefully them really honing in on, it's going to get better. They're telling me that I'm going to love myself and it's going to be amazing. And it will, it will. Everything just is with time. So thank you for sharing that. How about you, Martine? What are some tips for healing?
Well, I have all kinds of notes. I don't know that I have a tip for healing.
Any
what
type of anything
my
you want to
take-
talk about with love.
what I like to say is, is when you look at life, I think that the place to come from is, what is the experience that I want to have? Like, what's the experience that I want to have in my life? And then what is the experience that I want others to have?
Mm-hmm.
And then where are the opportunities to have those experiences for myself? Like, if I want to take myself on a date, if I want to go salsa dancing, all those things, all those beautiful things that Dr. Michelle just said. And then how do I then take advantage? Am I willing to take advantage of those opportunities?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Rebecca, how about you? What would you like to close with?
Just as to the idea of healing, I always tell my clients in that initial consult, when we first sit down, that this is the worst time of their life, right? And that the year ahead is probably going to be worse than they can ever imagine. But every year after that is better, without any doubt, right? Every holiday they get to celebrate, when they learn what their own traditions are or what they enjoy to do, when they get to experience life as their own person instead of somebody's wife or somebody's husband, that they've been in a defined role for so long that they've forgotten who they are, right? And they are their own person. And then everything after that just gets better. And I can assure them of that in my own experience, right? I can tell them about a client who I had that came back to us and said, I learned that I really enjoy Thanksgiving, right? And this woman had been married for 40 years, been a very long-term marriage. And she goes, and all these years, my husband didn't like it. And so when we celebrated it, it was because we had to. It was because it was something we did and we got it over. And now that I was able to go to my adult children's house and celebrate Thanksgiving, I loved every minute of it, right? That seems so minuscule, right? Of all the things that we can really learn or enjoy. But she really gives that perspective of, you will find the things that you love when you give yourself a chance. And when someone else is not telling you what they think you should do or not do. And so healing starts with being ready to take that first step, right? I think by the time you've come to a lawyer, you're already starting the process, right? Because you're ready to move forward at all costs, ready? I'm ready to take all of the shame, all of the guilt, all of whatever's going to come in order to get to the other side. And I think as a counselor at law, I take that very seriously. My role is that of a guide, right? And I'm going to help you get to the other side. And hopefully in this process, you're going to learn what you need to know to grow and to get better and to really thrive rather than just survive a divorce.
I love that. Dr. Brian, what are some healing or loving or any kind of closing thoughts you have?
I have three things that I just wanted to say, and I'll try to be really quick. First is, and I'm probably sounding very biased saying this, but I really do encourage people to reach out and get some individual or family therapy for support. There's so many things that you can do to work on healing as you're going through a divorce. Learning how to self-soothe painful feelings, learning how to grieve all the losses that you're going through right now, learning how to manage anger, learning how to have better self-care habits. Learning how to identify and heal your attachment wounds so that you can move forward. There's a lot of great support groups out there that can be helpful too, that you can use as a resource. Places like Divorce Care, Parents Without Partners, and then for children, Rainbows is a really great resource for kids that are often run through schools. And then, just the last thing that I wanted to part with was that when I work with clients, I usually use the metaphor of the hero's journey. And I try to have them put themselves in that. How all movies have that hero's journey concept. There's this big adversity in the beginning of the movie, and then at the very end, they've gone through all these twists and turns, and then there's this big takeaway at the end where they're transformed. And that's really what you're going through when you're going through a divorce, is you're going through a hero's journey. And I think it's important to really try to rewrite the script and to really kind of harness your pain in a way that helps you feel more empowered on the other side, and to learn from all the takeaways that you're going to glean from it, because you are going to be okay. You're going to learn and grow so much from it.
Oh, Brian, I love that so much. I love that so much because it's so true. And resources, yes. know your wheelhouse. And when you need help, there's so many different places to go to. And there's so many different modalities for healing that people can tune into. So I love that. Last but not least, Jason.
I'm so soon. Like I feel like taking a nap after Dr. Brian talks. I'm like, oh, I feel so warm.
I know.
I would say, number one, the marketing campaign of Rebecca, well, basically your life sucks and it's going to get worse while you know me. So, .com, sign up now. That's terrible. But the hero's journey that Dr. Brian just talked about, there's 3 steps, right? Your departure, right? Departure from what you know, fulfillment, right? Of fulfillment of what you're supposed to be doing, and then a return to peace. That's the hero's journey in 3 steps, right? But you have to depart that thing to get there. And I guess my last piece of takeaway is to let people know you're not broke. You're just testing a weak muscle, right? You're just testing weak muscle. You're not broken. And if you did, something did break you throughout your life, like the bones in your body, it strengthens. It's stronger in the broken place when you use that in service of other people. So that's my takeaway. I've really enjoyed this panel.
That's beautiful. I love that. And you know what? You're not broken, I think is so powerful for the people going through divorce to hear. But for the world to hear, for everyone who knows the people going through divorce, because the trained response that people have when they hear that someone is going through a divorce is like their head tilts and the frown and they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? And it's just such a gross response when you're going through it, because everything leading up to it is so difficult and so hard. And then you're going through it and it's like, you know what? I've made this decision. We're going to go through this in a way where we're going to work together. We're going to learn, we're going to heal, we're going to grow. It's going to be amazing. And that response is so off point. So I love that. I love that ending. And I would love if everyone out there who knows anyone who's going through a divorce, if when they tell you they're going through a divorce, your trained response is, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I cannot wait to see how much you learn about yourself and how much your life changes and what beautiful butterfly life you're going to create for yourself after this. That would be so in alignment with everything that we've been talking about. And I'm just so grateful for all of you. You truly are all so extraordinary and you have brought so much to this conversation. And I just know from connecting with you and seeing the work that you do, you are helping so many people in your professional lives. And I am just so in love with all of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being vulnerable and open and sharing and truly helping people heal and helping people reform their belief system when it comes to divorce and allow themselves to put love and divorce together. Those can go together. And you can feel good and you can use this as a vehicle to change, and your kids can be amazing from this and they can learn and be empowered. And yes, you can be a family, and yes, you can spend holidays together. And if you want to go on vacations together, you can do that too. And yes, you can marry again. And yes, those people can be part of your family and everyone can get along. Yes, to all of these things. It can be that way. And it's not like a magical unicorn kind of experience. It's a true real experience that you can do. And to do it though, you have to work together. Mediation, you have to work together. You have to have those conversations. And that is where the healing comes. That is where that self-love comes, because everything that you're sharing with your partner, he or she was meant to hear. Everything that's being shared with you, you're meant to hear. And everyone is on a journey of self and a journey of loving and living and growing and sharing their light. We need more light more than ever now, right? So everyone shine bright. Everyone figure out who you are and what you want and do those things. So now we're moving on to question and answer. And I believe Lauren is coming back to help us do this. Is that true, Lauren?
I received this insight about a title called Prisoner of War. The book
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce and exit a marriage the way you entered it, with mindfulness, love, and respect. SOLACE Divorce Mediation is a full-service law practice helping couples focus on the health and well-being of children and their forever co-parenting family. Our streamlined divorce journey offers flat fees with an estimated completion time frame of 2 to 4 months. If you or a friend need us, visit solacedivorce.com.
Wow, I'm glad I'm happily married. I'm going to get the rest of your panel back in. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I've been monitoring several of the socials where we cannot see all of the questions and whatnot. But wow, panel, I have a question for all of you. I want to start with this one, because I watched a lot of light bulbs come on in a lot of the squares of the Brady Bunch, let's say. And so I'd like each of you to take a moment. And sometimes in our work, many of us think that we know everything about everything we do. But today I know differently, because like I said, I saw the light bulb. So if you could share one thing each that you've learned from today that you really had no idea of prior to being here today on the panel, I'd like to be the first to hear it. So you can just jump in, whoever would like to start. Not all of you at once.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm going to take away from this is the fact that when Jason talked about joy, being that's what he now has, right? And that no one else gets a part of that unless they're going to add to it, right? That it's protection, but it really is something that you give to others, right? You're protecting a resource, you're protecting your joy, but really it's also something that you're handing back out. And I think that that's what we need to find. Like I love that image of I have something that is valuable and I'm going to work to protect it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to return some of it to the world, right? It's good for me, it's good for you, right? But I'm not going to let anybody just steal it from me. It's something that I give.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Rebecca. Thank you so much. And man, great job today. I just want to be the first to tell you, great content. I'm just going to choose Barry. What about you? Anything today that you found that you didn't have when you got here today?
I think actually it was the picture that I saw when Jen was explaining the idea about being elated when someone's getting divorced. That image just like hit me so hard, because the thing is, ultimately we do that. We have this, even though I know the journey and everything else, and having been there for other people, there is empathy and sometimes almost sympathy for their pain and suffering, going through divorce, breakup, etc. But to be on the side of holding the flag for them, saying you can do this, being the champion for their divorce almost is a different frame for me to see it through. And I know it, but I didn't get it until when she said it that way. So that was a gift for me to go, oh yeah, a lot of people, the journey through divorce is the journey to grow to a better place to be afterwards. And that was a really nice reminder.
Great. Thank you, Barry. Let's jump over to Martine. What say you, Martine?
I love what Dr. Michelle said. She said, when going through divorce, you have to sip, not gulp. I love that. That's just so true. Because for me, I'm trying to like fix it all. I'm trying to fix it all, fix myself, fix everybody. And it's like, well, I sit back and okay, let me just take a sip. What can I work on right now? And then I discovered, hey, I don't even love myself. Self-love. Okay, that was a weird thing to talk about for a guy like me, you know. And then all of a sudden I felt self-love was something to work on. So I started to sip on that.
Great. Awesome. Dr. Brian, how about you?
I think for me, it's just more of a professional kick, so to speak, where just this whole thing of reframing divorce from a more positive lens. I think in the psychiatric field, we're so immersed with diagnoses and psychopathology that it's really easy to look at things from that lens too much. And I think that Dr. Michelle's story really kind of reinforced that from a more strengths-based lens. So I think for that.
Awesome. Dr. Michelle, great place to segue into you. What were your thoughts on this?
I just want to thank all of you, because you have no idea what you have actually really started in regards to a place for healing. My daughter is going to be so happy because I'm going to tell her today that we will figure this out in blending this family. We'll figure it out one day at a time. And I think that is just going to make her heart so happy, because she doesn't want us to feel uncomfortable. She doesn't want to be uncomfortable. The grandson doesn't need to be uncomfortable. And we don't have to be. Hearing all of you today has let me know that we can do this. We can heal through this. We can actually wish each other happy and healthy vibes. So I just thank all of you, because you are really a part of changing the dynamics in my family and how we really are going to have to figure out how to navigate this. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's hop over to Jason.
I got 3
That's because
takeaways.
it's static.
Yeah, let's see. Is it staticky right now?
But I'm gonna.
Is it perfect?
I mean,
because I
we're all
switched
pretty
from
used
your
to it by
microphone
now.
to mine. You know how that goes. I'll tell you, I got 3 major takeaways. Well, probably 4, but one was, and I misheard Dr. Michelle. I thought she said, make sure you lust yourself. So I was working on how I was going to make that happen. And then Rebecca, it struck me that thank God there's resources like Rebecca and Dr. B and where you're in it all the time. You know what I mean? And to be surrounded by so much pain and to be able to be a light in somebody's journey. I heard you, Rebecca, when you said that. It's you're at your worst period of your life and it's going to get worse. Like, man, what a job that is, and what a spirit that has to take to be in that job every single day dealing with that. So thank God for people like you. And the collective resources that were here to talk about these things. And all of you have committed to mastery, right, in your own space, which is going to add back into the collective for the rest of us, was really inspiring. And Jen, I'm so proud of you for your first special, and this group of misfits that you threw together that kind of blended so well, and my last piece is Dr. B's probably got a whole bunch of things that he's going to call Emily with and say, I was analyzing Jason's answers to all
Before
of this.
June.
Red flag number 1, red flag number 2. So it's been a joy to be here, and I greatly enjoyed it.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. And finally, the brainchild of Solace, Jen. What about you? I think I told you when we were prepping for this to just remember today that everyone in here is in the nursery with your baby. Somebody will change it. Somebody will feed it. Another will burp it. But you're the only one that gets to cut baby's hair. So talk about this baby, and what have you learned that you're going to bring into this child known as Solace's life moving forward from what you've learned here today?
Oh my goodness, this has been extraordinary for me. It truly has. My heart is so full, and I'm so grateful for this experience, because prior to this experience, I feel like I've always felt like it's like me on my own, figuring this out and having to get it out into the world. And even in preparation for this show, and I even shared with everyone, I put these list of questions together, and I was like, I'm going to do this, that. And then yesterday I started tuning in, and I'm like, you know what? No, these people are extraordinary. They're brilliant. They are leaders in their fields. And all of us are coming together for a reason. And so that's what my biggest takeaway from this experience is we were all attracted to each other for a reason, and we're all meant to be sharing in this space together. And it just makes me so happy to know that I'm not alone in this. There's so many healers. There's so many, I call them light warriors, that are in this world, that are making this world a better place. And this just reaffirms for me that we are stronger together. We are so much stronger in doing this work together than we are on our own. And I am just so grateful for all of you for being here, and for Lauren for putting this together, and just for all of it. I'm so deeply grateful. That is my biggest takeaway from this experience.
That's
so
awesome.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, I have another question from just a viewer's standpoint, but I'm being that viewer. Then I have a comment and a statement that I've pulled one of each from the viewers today that I want to throw in. So I wanted to know, it came when I was listening to you, Jason, about you have 2 divorced mothers. So you have children in each camp. And I wondered, okay, well, if you love through with one who is willing, but you still have that other one that, sometimes you're on a bicycle not built for 2, but 3, 4, in some cases, even more. So, and this is for everyone, because just because you may have only divorced individually once doesn't mean your ex-spouse hasn't or won't get married and or divorced again or again or again. So what do you think about, if you've learned how to love through divorce with one, what happens if there's resistance on one of the other spokes to that same wheel? Anyone?
Well,
with your kids and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
because they come together as siblings, I would assume, from time to time.
Yeah, it for me, it's been my job as the head of the household doesn't change because I left the household. My responsibility to my children doesn't change. My responsibility to this woman that I told I loved and I would take care of and provide for doesn't change. That concept never made any sense to me. And obviously if they get married again, then somebody else picks up that mantle, but it's my responsibility as a man, right? And that's, again, this might be archaic and I might sound like a damn dinosaur here, but I feel like that was the responsibility. And my kids all love each other. They all know each other. We all hang out together. We do we travel together. My first ex and my soon-to-be wife, best friends, they all know each other. They've all been interactions. We've been to Disney World together. It's my job to lead, to say there is no reason for there to be hatred amongst all of us, because we, at the end of the day, are all we're going to have, and to really, it is the spokes of the wheel, and we all do depend on each other. And my job, again, as the lead of the family, multiple families now, is to do what is unselfishly correct for everybody in that wheel.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Makes perfect sense. Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I love that so much. I think you shared that beautifully, Jason. It really is. There has to be mindfulness. It doesn't just happen. It's not going to be where both people are on the same page exactly of like, yeah, we're amazing. We love each other in a different way. We're healing, we're growing. But it's that narrative, and it really is managing expectations. It's managing everyone's expectations who are part of the family, of saying, look, these are the intentions that we're going to have for this family. This is how we want it to look and feel. And we want to enjoy this life and experience together, not just have the kids enjoy it, but we want to enjoy it as people. I want to enjoy my holidays. I want to enjoy seeing you. I want to enjoy hanging out with your new romantic interest and partner. I want that for myself. And I think really just setting a very clear intention to manage expectations is a nice approach.
That's awesome. Parveen Smith is joining from the UK today. Hi, Parveen. And her question is, from your points of view, should divorced parents still keep the child sharing going? Co-parenting, how important is it?
You can't say enough about the value of co-parenting. The idea that you are jointly making decisions, that you are jointly doing what's in your children's best interest. We see a lot of, in child development, we talk about parallel play, right? You can have two kids in the same room playing with the same toys, but they're not really interacting. They're just playing along their own path. And in divorce, we see that with parents, right? I'm going to go do what I want on my time. You go do what you want on your time. And the two shall never meet, right? I'm not going to tell you how to discipline. I'm not going to tell you about the achievements or the struggles, and you're not going to tell me about yours either. And our kids will just learn to live in two different households. Co-parenting really means bringing those households back together in that fashion, right? We're going to talk about discipline. We're going to talk about achievements and struggles, because we really want our kids to grow and to thrive without having to take their expectations at mom's house and set those aside at the door to dad's house. So you can't speak highly enough about people who are truly capable of co-parenting, of putting aside all the animosity and all of the anger they have from their own personal relationship, and realize it's not about your intimate relationship. That's over, right? That ended on its own terms. It's now about your children's best interest, really. It focuses completely away from each other and onto your children. And the more you can do that, the happier everyone will be, right? Because it'll give you a chance to heal, but it'll really give your kids the chance to thrive, to grow, and to become their own persons.
Awesome.
Now, Rebecca, I want to tag on to that, just to speak directly to the men of the world that are going through these divorces with kids, is that we live, I think, in among the weakest time period of men period in history right now. And I believe that the more men can step up and not be selfish. I'm not saying all men. I'm just saying that in general, we as men have let each other off the hook. It's okay to leave and not take care of your family. It's okay to leave and not take care of your kids. It's okay to leave and emotionally try to destroy your ex-wife. Like, that is not strength. That is weakness. It's a child's play, and I just would love to, for all of us as brothers, I know it's hard, but we're made for hard stuff, right? That's our role, and I believe that we as men should step up more often and say, it's not about our feelings. Okay, your ex-wife hurt your feelings. Poor baby, you have children. You're not living for just you anymore, right? And by the way, suck it up, Buttercup.
Anyone else want to speak on that topic?
Well, I think each parent teaches their kids different things and gives them different loves. So I think it's important for kids to have a relationship with both of their parents so they can learn the things they need to from them.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's almost like, the choice that we're talking about unmaking is the choice of loving. Like I'm not gonna love anymore. I'm not gonna love you anymore. And I'm gonna tell these guys, I'm gonna make another team with these guys, and we're gonna unlove you, and we're gonna show you. That's what we're gonna do. If love is love, and if love is what we ultimately want, then there's not really a choice. We act like there's a choice, but really there's no choice. The choice has already been made. Like, I am going to love. And once I start making a choice who I'm going to love, what kind of people I'm going to love, and what they have to do to be somewhat loved by me, as if I got, as if I'm God or something, it's like, it's a privilege to be loved by me. No, it's a privilege for me to love. It's my honor to love, to be able to love all of you here on this thing. Like, that's just a privilege. And if I want to love, then it's up to me. And then if I'm willing to stand for love, am I willing to stand for love? I'm willing to stand for myself and stand for the family that's quote unquote broken. And let's get together like once a month, okay? Because we will always be a family.
Damn it, Martine. It's not an honor to be loved by you.
Okay, I just want to say,
Is that a t-shirt? Is that a t-shirt, Jason?
We have 3 now. 3 t-shirts.
all right, I just want to say we have less than a minute left, but don't go away, don't go anywhere, panelists. But I do want to say this: in just a few days, 3 to be exact, will be Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, day dedicated for love and for lovers. However, if we've learned anything today, I believe it is this. Maybe we should change the narrative and not just think that when we divorce, it means from people. Perhaps we should take more energy and invest more into divorcing all situations that no longer serve us. I think that it could really help move the world along in a spectacular pace, and we need more of it. So I do want to say one last thing as we get out of here. Whatever it is you do, remember, it's called falling in love for a reason, because no matter how you feel, no matter how much it hurts, one day you can find your way into the hands, the arms, the spirit that we were each created originally from. And that is what will be holding you until you're ready to hold yourself. That is falling in love. So take it and love your way through not just divorce, but anything that can help you grow. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Jen. And we look forward to seeing what is next. All of the connectors for all of the panelists will be dropped into the comment section right at the conclusion here in just a moment. Thank you so much for being with us today. On behalf of V360 TV and the Trajectory Network, I want to say thank you all for really pouring into the world today. God bless you all. Have a great one.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend.